like I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people out there who've been DMing for some time or game mastering for some time in some form or fashion, and are more interested in how they can improve their craft, if nothing else, how they could take their craft and maybe start to do it professionally.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot I could speak to on that, on how to start doing it professionally.
And that's why I originally reached out to you, was as a professional DM. We're the small community that we've already put together. We are all super curious about that, about your experience.
I mean, listen, about 2 or 3 years ago, I just started doing it. I spent a weekend, built a website, and I was getting bookings about a week later. I turn away maybe 80% of the business I get because I didn't have time to do it. And so I've actually been noodling around with a problem for the past 2 years on how to make it easier for people to find professional dungeon masters. And so about 3 days after quarantine, actually, me and another from a Y Combinator backed startup, we started an actual platform that launched literally last week that helps DMs that are running games professionally find players who are looking to pay them. So it's like a payments platform, marketplace platform. We've been open for a week and we already have over 100 bookings.
Amazing, man. Yeah, that's incredible.
And that, just for prosperity's sake, is StartPlaying.games. But yeah, I mean, I realize so many people want to do it, and it's a lot of the fact that I always kind of tell people, if you're a mechanic, don't be an accountant. And not everyone has that privilege. A lot of people have to do a lot themselves. So I say, figure out the best you can do with the tools you have and what you feel comfortable to learn and grow with. But I feel like what we've built is really filling that gap with customers and hosts, if you will, like dungeon masters and game masters, by showing them hey, here's a place where people are coming and looking for games already. This is the best way to start building a client base, start building users, start getting your feet wet with actually professional DMing. And people that have been doing it for a long time, it's an easier way to manage their bookings because, we process everything on the payment side.
Yeah, I mean, those are a lot of things I was interested to talk to you about, was how you manage some of the payments and whatnot. It sounds like you've got a lot, working in that, and it's StartPlaying.games.
Yeah. So it's a YC backed startup, which is great, which is, Y Combinator is where Airbnb came out of, Reddit, etc. So there's a lot of resources there. Being VC bootstrap funded has made it really nice that we've been able to kind of invest in not only a great tech stack, but also great partners, to actually draw traffic and to get those users on the site booking. A lot of people have attempted to make very similar things, but it's always been a case of, too much supply, too little demand, too much supply. So finding a way to address that has been our big focus.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm surprised how quickly you got those kinds of numbers, but at the same time, I'm not really surprised because I know so many people who are interested in finding that booking, and it's got to be the ultimate question for somebody looking professionally is where do I find players willing to pay?
Yeah. And it's a lot of cracking the right nut, the right sponsorships, the right advertising spend. But I have a background in that, so it's definitely led to some nice early wins.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, you've got. I was looking at some of the other stuff. You seem like a very entrepreneurial guy with a lot of irons in a lot of places.
Yeah,
screen printing, the photography stuff.
It's all stuff that I've created out of necessity. I had my own screen printing shop, and we started making our own designs, and people are buying them. And then I wanted to get them online, and I couldn't find an easy way to get things photographed. So I started a business that made it easy to get your stuff photographed. So, almost everything I've created for myself, or it's something that I've wanted to use or to have exist.
That makes sense. I mean, I know a lot of people's entrepreneurial pursuits that come out of doing that. Honestly, what we're thinking about doing is really just out of a frustration of a lack of a viable tool set,
Yeah.
Very cool. Sorry, that threw me off my little questionnaire set here. So, I was actually really curious to hear how you got started playing, Dungeons and Dragons. Like, what made you start to DM? I imagine that very much like for most everyone I talk to who does it, there's just something that you really enjoy about it, or you wouldn't go to the incredible effort it takes to dungeon master.
Yeah. I think I got into D&D because of the it wasn't the choose your own adventure books. It was very, my mom got this book at a secondhand store, and she read it and told me what dice to roll, and I fell in love with the concept. A couple years later, I came across D&D in a comic book shop, and the guy working said he'd run me and my friend who was with me a game, and I started saving for the book right after that. And I think, like I've always been the person to have a home that works for entertaining. I've always been the type of person that, is happy to be kind of a ringleader with their friends and help like facilitate things. And that's kind of led to a lot of my joy is bringing a group together and having fun with them. And that definitely kind of adheres to how I am as a dungeon master, and what drew me to it is because I'm facilitating fun for all my friends.
Yeah, very cool. And what sparked? You said it was just a pretty quick change to build a website and just go for it. Was there a particular event? Like, what made you decide to make that switch?
Yeah, I had run a game for my coworkers. I work at Chubby Shorts, and I'd run a game for the team there, and they're like, "This is great! Oh my gosh! Like, so do you like do this for money?" And I was like, "I don't know, maybe." And a lot of people had asked me, like if I DM for them, or they had some friends that wanted DM. I was like, "I don't know who those people are. That's a lot of work for people I'm not friends with." So I was like, I don't know, maybe I can get paid for this. So I literally just spent a weekend, built a site, and I think I ran, maybe like $10 worth of Google ads the first week, and I got an email, and that's kind of like the last ad I ever ran for the site, because over time it indexed really well, and so if you're in California and you search for Dungeon Master for Hire, I'm going to show up, which was great. But then Bloomberg wrote the article, so it's kind of been a big increase from there. And because I had to turn away so much work, well, I didn't turn it away. I found a bunch of other dungeon masters I knew that were looking for paid gigs, and I would essentially just book it out to them instead. So I was able to kind of create like a small little network, and that's kind of really what spiraled the idea of StartPlaying. I was like, oh my gosh, like there's so many other dungeon masters that would be that are out there that want some work. I'm sure I can make a community network and a marketplace for that.
Yeah, very cool. And then I mean, you've got so much going on with an entire Twitch channel and like several different shows.
Yeah, I mean, originally when I started the DM for Hire business, I was like, I'll make a little extra cash on the side. I can invest it in the studio I have, and I wasn't expecting it to take off like it did, nor was I expecting the Twitch channel to take off like it did. So it was a nice kind of tandem growth for both of those, like aspects of tabletop for me.
Very cool. Yeah, like shoot. Trying to think of like some of my own history with the game. I've played for so long, and I feel like it's just been the last few years though that I've seen so many new players.
Yeah.
And when you started doing your first couple of professional games, you got booked out. Like, what kind of adventure were you running, and what kind of players were you seeing? Was it experienced players, new players, a mix?
Yeah, almost all new players was probably the first year. Then I started seeing more and more people. Like I had, like a bachelor party, and they wanted to run, like a level 20 game, one shot. And so I started seeing like more, or players that wanted to run certain modules that their group DM didn't want to do, or a lot of people, like there was the forever DM that's like, I don't want to DM, I want to play. And so, that's where a lot of that came from. A lot of parents and their kids has been really big. But probably 50% of my business is like companies. I'll go into a company. I'll run a game for one of their teams.